What if the resurrection is more than a historical event? What if it's still inside of you, if it's a living power that resides in you, that gives you the capability to restore, redeem, change about everything in your life? For many, the resurrection represents love, hope, renewal, and victory over death. But beyond the story lies something more. What is it? What do you get from the resurrection? Well, today I will share when this incredible event happens, how we can draw from it to create forgiveness, love, hope, and everything that we want in our life to be. So today, you're going to take lots of notes, get your paper, get your pen out because we're going to learn and grow together.
And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you.
Hi, my name is Lillian McDermott, and I'm a certified life coach. I am a certified holistic cancer coach and the host of the Lillian McDermott radio show, Classroom. If this is your first time in Classroom, please know I've been waiting for you. Yes, you. This is a safe place where you can go when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide natural ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, as we know, we're entering the holiest of holy weeks that we ever celebrate in the year as Christians. I know that other denominations, other values and belief systems have theirs as well. But for us, the Holy Week that leads to the crucifixion, the death, crucifixion of Jesus, and resurrection, to me is the holiest of all weeks. So today we're going to be talking about the power of the resurrection, even though ahead of us is still the capture, the torture, the death with the crucifixion, through the crucifixion, and of course, how comes after that, the resurrection. Unfortunately, many of us live in the first part of life, that first part of the story, which is the capture, the death, the crucifixion. We live there. And sometimes it's hard to get out of there. When? When we've experienced a loss, when we've experienced disappointment, when people that we love disappoint us because maybe our expectations of the person was much higher than it deserved. What if we could look at the death, the crucifixion, all of that, the life of Jesus as part of our growth process. It is when we go through hard times that we learn lessons. Sometimes they're tough lessons, but they're lessons nonetheless. These lessons are here for us to learn and grow from it. Many of us don't want to think about these lessons. Many of us don't understand that it is through these lessons that we grow the most. And I'm not saying I want to be in the death, the beating and the crucifixion and the capture, all that story that many of us live in a constant basis. And I'm talking about how we live, whether it's heaven on earth or hell on earth. Sometimes our brain, the stories that we tell ourselves, those are the stories that feed us, that we live in. In other words, you could experience the same thing that I'm experiencing, but you might experience it as the glass half empty, and I might experience it as the glass half full, or vice versa. We all are in choice. We can look at these experiences and choose how we view it. And for years and years, thousands of years, we stop and pause to reflect on what this whole story means to you and me. And when you read the New Testament and you realize of the life of Jesus, and you know, I'm going to talk about this as a Christian. Now, listen, on a regular basis, when you meet me, I am not going to be telling you all these stories about Jesus. I remember I dated a guy that, or went out to homecoming with him. So I didn't date him. He was a neighbor that asked me out. And we went to homecoming together. And every other word in his mouth was in the Bible, it says, in the Bible, it says. And I was an immature Christian at the time. And I'd say, well, I want to hear what you say. Tell me what you say. And now I get it. But there's a time and place for everything. So I'm sharing with you when we do coaching, the importance of spirituality and everything that we go through. That's why I bring up Jesus today. And always, if you come to me and you want to know godly advice, or but does it need to be a part of our conversation to beat you over the head with Christianity? No, we don't need to do that. We can use the teaching of St. Francis of Assisi, which is preach the gospel at all times. If necessary, use words. Let your story, let your journey be the Bible for somebody else. You don't have to say it, because people will know what you believe by your actions and how you respond. So today we're talking about the power of the resurrection. Now, I could say the power of the crucifixion, because we all go through that crucifixion metaphorically, because you could have the worst day ever in your life, but it would never, ever, 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 and I will put 1,000 bajillion evers after this, nothing compares to what happened to Jesus Christ on that week. Now let me give you some highlights of that week, and to see how we kind of respond when something like this happens to you. So for 3 years, we knew about the New Testament. The New Testament is about the 3 years of the life of Jesus and his disciples afterwards. But those 3 years that we learn about Jesus and his stories, we hear of miracles and all of those things. He had 12 men, the disciples, following Jesus. He had the disciples following Jesus. And for 3 of the years, they saw miracles, they saw things that they didn't understand. But sometimes it's hard for us to understand things we don't know. But Jesus would stay and he would show and share, and they saw miracles. But yet, when the final act of humbling himself, which is the foot washing, and I always use that expression for me, I'm a foot washer, not to the extreme as Jesus was in the story where he washed his disciples' feet. Keep in mind, he also washed his betrayer's feet. And he knew the end of the story. He knew the rest of the story, but he still washed his feet. Why? Because he's Jesus and we're not. Because he's God and we're not. And here's the beauty of it all. Even through all of that, and one could say that Judas was also betrayed, that he was tricked, but the love of money is a problem. It's the root of all evil, right? Wanting to be so powerful. It's the root of all evil. So what do we get from that? If we get that even through his humility, all the wonderful miracles during that time, We felt the power of his disciples saying, "Oh, we will never leave you. We will never leave you." But they weren't there for him when he asked for prayer. They weren't there for him. But Jesus went through the trial. And it's almost like that butterfly that goes through that transformation, that capturing, that releasing, and that transformation from a caterpillar to a butterfly. We see that journey through the death and resurrection of Jesus. So, what does that mean for you? It means that we learn how fickle we can be through the disciples. I will never, ever deny you. And how many times do we deny the people we know? How many times do we say, I don't know this person? I've joked with my husband about that, or friends, like, I have no idea who these people are, because, we can joke about it. But the reality is, it happens sadly in real life where people betray others for less than 30 silver coins. So we learn lots of lessons through the story and the journey and the example that we saw within the story. Some people still live there. They can't forgive their people that do much less than what happened to Jesus. We refuse to forgive. We refuse to acknowledge that we could be wrong. We refuse to take the plank out of our eye so that we can focus on the speck on our neighbor. We just focus on the speck and refuse to take off our plank. And so, as we enter this holy week, let us reflect. Let's just be honest with ourselves. Where do we fall short? Um, where are we not able to see our weaknesses, where we only see our strengths and our goodness and all the things that is about our essence? But when we're in our ego, how difficult it is for us to really look at ourselves and how we behave. And I've done classes on ego and I've done classes on essence, and usually they're together. So I want to encourage you to do the same, to kind of use this week to kind of take inventory of your heart, of who you are, where you want to be. But again, we stay in that crucifixion. But can we get past it? As a Christian Catholic that I grew up, I remember I couldn't speak. We couldn't listen to music on Good Friday. It was a holy day of mourning. But now, I don't know if there are a lot of people who still don't listen to like fast from the world and mourn. I don't know. It's not for me to judge. I just know that was a tradition that my mom taught us. My dad went along with. And so we would know that this was a time where we had to be reverent. But boy, oh boy, and we would give something up, but the resurrection, Easter Sunday, Easter Sunday. So many of us stay in that sadness, melancholy, the beating, the trauma of the crucifixion, the betrayal. Many of us live there still in our lives. And why I say that is sometimes we lose hope. And I'm telling you, I am sure that they were shocked. They didn't know what to do. The disciples just didn't know what to do. But Jesus went through the trial. Even though he didn't want to go through the trial, he went through the trial. How many of us go through trials that we refuse to go through? But if we don't go through that, we don't know what's on the other side of our courage. What is on the other side of fear? So when we look at this week, as we enter this week, I hope And I'm going to bring a little bit of my little Lily childhood remembrance of how my mom would act us like no TV, there was fasting, we prayed rosaries, we did all that stuff. Although I don't, never been a big rosary person, but I do have them and I do understand the value of the prayer, although some people say it's not a prayer. I understand all of that. I'm not here in judgment of any of that. What I'm saying is do whatever it takes to get to that place where you feel that reverence, you feel that void, that fear of uncertainty, and lean into it and expect the resurrection. We are resurrection people. We know the end of the story and the end of the story of that. But here's what happens. The story of Mary Magdalene going to the Marys. Everybody's name was Mary. I think that I was born that, but my name would be Mary Lillian, Mary Lily. But the Marys who were going to the tomb, they were sad. They were going to prepare the body. They were going to prepare the body for the burial. Many of the things that he got in his childhood, as an infancy, from the three wise men, the frankincense and myrrh, all of that was used to embalm his body. That was what they were going to do. But when they got there, there was nothing there. The tomb was open. Now, they thought Jesus was stolen. But that's when we learned of the transformation. Had we not gone to the tomb, our sadness, our betrayals, our disappointments, our loss of incomes, our bankruptcies, you fill in the blank, the job that you didn't get that you really wanted to get. As we go through that, you realize there's something on the other side that we don't know what we don't know. But are you curious about it? Can you be curious? Can we be curious about it and say, I know that this is a tough time that I'm going through right now, but I know Romans 8:28, that God works things out for the good of all who love him. And you know what? And I say all because God loves all unconditionally. So whether we do know or we do love God or Jesus or whoever it is that you hold at a higher power, regardless, God loves us. It's called unconditional love. Our greatest teacher of unconditional love, to wash the feet of your betrayer, then you realize that you've reached that new level of being able to let things go in the past and moving forward. Are you refusing to forgive somebody? Did somebody harm you? Well, here's scripture for you. What man intends for harm, God intends for good. Just know that whatever it is that you're going through right now, it will turn out for the better. Yeah, I hear you going, oh, right, Lily, maybe for you, but not for me. I've had 50 years of bad luck. If I didn't have bad luck, I wouldn't have any luck at all. I heard a friend say that to me not too long ago, and I went, what? After she told me the real story, I'm saying, wow, that's a story of great luck if I ever heard it. Please don't ever say that. Don't ever say that if it weren't for bad luck, you wouldn't have luck at all. See, that's the death. That's the crucifixion. That's the mentality of death in our head, even when there's positive results for the end of the story. So if you find yourself in depression, anxiety, I would say it's time. It's time to lean in and say, you know what? If what she's saying is true, which is in the Bible, I'm not making it up. If what I'm saying is true about Romans 8:28, Genesis 50:20, then maybe I should be curious about it and get on the other side where courage is, where my courage is. And fear is keeping me from my courage. Fear is keeping me from my courage. But if I were to say, what if I am fearless? What if I can walk to the tomb and expect the resurrection and know that if I deal with whatever's in that tomb, I can transform myself like Jesus did? That hope, that faith, that willingness to forgive, to look at it as, gosh, I know this was a really horrible time. Like when we went through many years ago, the housing crisis, I was a stay-at-home mom, very comfortable. It brought me out into the world of marketing again, once again. And gosh, it was, yeah, would I say scary? Maybe, but I didn't even think of that. I didn't even think of the fear. I had to do what I had to do. I was on like helping my husband mode. When you see a business, a thriving business be shut down, you've got to do something instead of insult your spouse and say, what did you create here? No, we all are in this together. We all suffer together. What's happening in the world right now, we're all suffering together. But some people suffer differently than others. Some people focus on the resurrection. We are resurrection people, and I'm encouraging all of us to focus on the resurrection. What could come from the devastation of a housing crisis? I'm here. I am here with you because of it. One position led to another, to the point where I opened my marketing company. And that, by the way, is a story I don't know if I ever told you. Maybe someday I will. The story of how and why I opened my own LMM Marketing, Lillian McDermott and Associates, back in 2010. 2011, I started the classroom. The radio show was offered to me. I didn't set out for this. I didn't. So much good came from that housing crisis that why would I focus on the housing crisis? I focus on the resurrection that came from it. That death to resurrection. If you're experiencing a death right now, whether it's a physical death of someone that you love, the death of a job, the death of a friendship, the death of a marriage, the death even of someone, of a child, as hard as that is, I can't imagine. We must look at the resurrection. What's on the other side of my fear, my pain, which is the resurrection. We are a people of resurrection. And that's when Mary saw that the body wasn't in there. She had to go to the tomb. She had to go through the experience. She had to go through all of that to rejoice. But there is always rejoicing unless you refuse to focus on that other side. So many years ago, I decided to get breast implants, and I have a section in my YouTube channel about it. It was the whole experience and what I experienced and tips of people that can benefit from my lessons that I learned. And they had a great run until I was rear-ended in 2017. A great run. And so I had to make a decision. Do I want to reimplant because that accident caused some major pain? We didn't know if the silicone implants were ruptured and if there was silicone running through my body. Let me tell you, every ounce that I teach you on keeping your mind positive and focusing on what the resurrection is I had to live that for 9 months. For 9 months, we did not know what was going on with my left breast. All we knew is that it was painful, and the only way they could find out what was going on with it is if they went in and removed it. But during that time, I thought, okay, I can put new implants in. But after doing research about breast implant illness, I decided to not implant anything. So I am natural from head to toe, baby. So it was a tough decision for me to make. I remember lying on the floor going, how's my husband going to love me? How's that going to happen? How is he going to think that I look good? But together, just like together through the housing crisis, we made it through together. And through this experience, he was there for me just like I was there for him during the both different crises. And I'm glad I did not choose to have reimplantation. I had explantation only and reconstruction during that time, which was like smaller than a little boy's chest when I got out of that process. And slowly but surely, things are falling into place. Why am I telling you this story? Because it was a dark moment in my life. I had to make a decision. And of course, when we go through dark moments, we think, why have you forsaken me? Why is this happening to me? But nothing, like I said, ever, 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 ever will be in comparison to what happened to Jesus as it led him to the cross. No one has spat in my direction. No one has flogged me. No one has, put me on a pole and crucified me with nails. No one has ever done that. Yes, they've mocked me, but that's okay. I've mocked people too. Yes, I've been betrayed. Yeah, but that's okay. I got over it. I got through it. Through it all, I went through it. But everybody that knew my inner circle, and then eventually when I started sharing it on the show, because at the time it was a radio show, everyone that knew, guess what their first question to me was? Are you worried about the surgery? Are you worried about the surgery? Oh my gosh, the surgery, the surgery. And you know what? I did not spend 1 second, not 1 second on the surgery. And it wasn't because I didn't care. It was because I knew better. That if I focused on that surgery, that 9 months, that 6 months that I had to wait for the surgery, I would have gone insane. Oh, is there that, it's a 3 hour surgery. And I did not want general anesthesia. So this was done via Twilight, by the way. Oh my God, are you worried about the surgery? You worry about the surgery. And I made it upon myself as I journaled and I was in prayerful consideration of doing this, that I would never focus on the surgery. And I didn't. And I tell you what, it was great. I focused on the healing. When people say, you're worried about the surgery? No, I'm focused on the healing, on getting beyond this, getting past this. I knew I had to go through the surgery in order to get through the recovery and healing. When we lost the business and the business went under, the number one manufacturing countertop company for all the builders in Florida, it's a huge fall. But we focused on rebuilding, and here we are. Now, when I tell the story of the housing crisis, or I tell the story of the explantation and the car accident, gosh, there were so many gifts and lessons that I go back there with hope. I go back there to share the resurrection of the story. Yes, I could have been focused on the pain. I never focused on the pain. I focused on the healing. I knew the pain would be a part of it, but I don't remember the pain anymore. I went through it. My husband was there. People who loved me were there for me. They brought me meals. They took care of me. It was very sweet and special. I got to see those who wanted to wash my feet in return because I consider myself a foot washer. But could I wash the feet of my betrayer? Maybe after I do the healing work, after I do the forgiveness work, I could possibly. That would be the greatest teaching of all. You know, the foot washer was the lowliest of servants in a house. And when the master came home, before you entered, they washed your feet. That is a humbling. And when I think about it, I was picked to wash the feet of a retreat, the girls in the retreat. And it was like, it wasn't planned or anything. They didn't tell me I was going to do it. They just said, Lily, will you wash the feet of the girls that are going through the retreat? I could not stop crying. I could not stop crying because it was such a beautiful, humbling experience. And that's why I call myself a foot washer today. I love to be in service. There are people who are in service that complain the whole entire time. And there are people who are in service who glow and blossom, that just absolutely understand why humility is a key part of thriving in life. To be able to let go of your ego and say, oh, I shouldn't be washing your feet. No, we're all in that place together. We should all be foot washers, but we're not. There are people who'd never do that. But if you do, if you try it and you don't like it, then maybe you're not there. But I was so overcome with emotion that I had the honor to wash everybody's feet in that retreat. And then my foot was washed. It is such just a humbling, I can't even express it. It's almost like any expectation that you have in life, anything that holds us back didn't exist at that moment. It did not exist. I was there touching those feet. I didn't care if they were smelly. I didn't even smell anything. It didn't matter to me. But it is that kind of being, that kind of way of being that gets us beyond our fear to our courage, to where we were destined to be. How many of us hold ourselves back because we are afraid of what could happen after, or not even want to look at it because, how am I going to survive this? How did I survive the loss of my father? How did I survive the the child that miscarried within me? How did I survive? Every single time that I was faced with that, how am I going to? That's when I'm in this corner, reaching up, reaching up. And sometimes that's where we're at our finest, when we realize we're just nothing without that higher power. And I don't care what you call that higher power, because because God is that higher power. And so on the other side of the resurrection, when Jesus said, why do you look for the living among the dead? Why do you do that? And that's what we do in life. We look for the dead. the death, the trials, and we think we could never come through it. But what a great example. And we don't have to hit people over the head. Once again, if somebody is with you that's not a believer, just be. Just be. Just like St. Francis of Assisi. I love that quote. Preach the gospel at all times. If necessary, use words. And we all fall short. We all fall short. There are times where I am not the Bible. I am not the living Bible. And that's okay. I'm glad that I can recoup and restore and refresh and hit that easy button, right? Where we get to that other side and we realize, wow, how could I have done this? So what happens is little by little, less and less of those reactions happen. When you look at it as, okay, what do I learn from this? What do I learn from this betrayal? What do I learn about how I behaved with this person? What do I learn about, like, for example, signing a non-compete clause that got me was one of the reasons I started my own company, because I had signed a non-compete for 2 years. Even though my intuition said don't sign it, I signed it, that somebody could let go of me um, for 90 days, before 90 days without cause. And there was a compete. And so they said, well, I'm like, I'm not going to sign this. My intuition said. And what the person on the other side, who was also a lawyer, said to me was, well, have you ever been dismissed from any job? No, I get promoted every 6 months. Hello. And he said, well, don't worry about it. If you've never been let go, don't worry about it. And I guess I'm telling you the story now, huh? And so I signed it. I signed the contract. Wow, they were offering me such great money. And this was during the time that we were still rebuilding from the crisis of the housing crisis. So I signed it because they were offering me so much money, so much money. And I was doing great. They loved everything I was doing. They wanted all my leads, all my contacts, all the phone numbers. And I had the privilege of meeting so many doctors that I couldn't, because previously I was doing imaging. And when I entered into this space, I was no longer in competition with some of the major neurosurgeons, orthopedic doctors that had MRIs in their clinics. So I had a wonderful time. And on the 89th day, I got the call and said, Lily, we love what you're doing. You did a great job, but we are eliminating the position. That meant that 89, there was a 90-day cycle. There was a 90-day cycle for commission. So, but I made good money, just baseline, but the commission would have put me way over what I've ever made. But I never got the commission. And I was told that the position was eliminated on the 89th day. A part of me was so relieved. My husband ran to me when he heard what I was saying on the other side. And he hugged me and he thought I'd be in tears. And I said, I am so relieved. So now I had to rebuild again. So I texted that doctor that I would have never met, that neurosurgeon, Dr. Nizam Razak, who became just so instrumental at that moment. I texted him and I said, I am so grateful for the opportunity to serve you, but I'm no longer working for the company. And within 2 seconds of me sending that text, I got a call from that doctor. And he said, Lily, I don't care what you do, but you need to start your own marketing company. And I will be your first client. And so it was. But in the end of the day, I had the title of my of my company. Robert had done everything that he needed to do to make me legit. Lillian McDermott and Associates was, we even had a website started and all the, and within a day. And then I texted other doctors who said the same thing. And if I really told my body, I really am so grateful that that 89th day came because I knew I was not in alignment with my essence. It was a fast-paced job. There was a lot of entertaining. There was a lot of stuff that was going on that was not in alignment with. I knew my body, every cell inside of me knew there was something wrong with that company. But guess what? The resurrection was Lillian M. McDermott and Associates. And a year later, well, less than a year later, I created a campaign for my doctors. And somebody said, you should go on the radio to promote this campaign. And I said, find me a radio station that would have me. And they did. And I went to WMEL. And John Harper, the owner of WMEL, interviewed me for 30 minutes. He stuck his head in the room after we were done. And he said, wow, how long have you been doing radio? And I said, 30 minutes. And the rest is now. The rest brought me here. Tell me that wasn't resurrection. Tell me that if I would have wallowed, I can't believe they let me go after 89 days and kept it to myself because I'm shameful or whatever. No, I did what I do naturally, which is I'm able to cut and say, you know what? This is what's happening. I'm going to face it. And because I faced it, I got my first client. And then I sent another text and I got 4 more clients. Or one doctor who had 4 clinics. And I was making more than I was with that other company. And I didn't have to answer to anybody other than my clients, because you always have to answer to someone, your greater power, whoever it is. We always must. So guess I told you the story of what brought me here. And I have been able to serve for the last 16 years. I've been able to serve as a foot washer. My clients who I help restore, renew, create, whatever it is that they want. And it came from a betrayal. The resurrection is real, and we are called to be in that feeling of hope, in that feeling of renewal, in that feeling what there is purpose. There is purpose to what happened. Starting from the housing crisis that put me into where I didn't think I could ever do. And prior to that, when I was a stay-at-home mom, which is the most difficult job you could ever have, you learn all about managing terrorists. Sometimes, if you can manage your children, you can manage terrorists, is what I said one time when I was trying to get a job. You know, whether it was a divorce, whether it was, I always knew, oh, it's going to be better. It's going to be better. And that's what we're called to be. It's the power of the resurrection. And as we, the resurrection people, I am asking you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com. I want you to share this video, share the website, share all my social media. But before you do all that, while you're at whenyouneedafriend.com, make sure you like and follow me on my website. So you need to opt in. So not only do you put in your email address, but you also have to look for an email that you're going to get. You're going to get that email. And that email is going to say, did you sign up for her website? And you're going to say yes. And so you're going to get the classes, the audio. It'll be sent to your email and you can listen to it at any time. Or you can just go to Facebook and YouTube or BitChute or Instagram or wherever it is that you can find me. All podcasts. You can find me in all podcasts. And that all started because of the housing crisis. Could be before that. Could be, it was all a plan. It was all a plan. And I am part of the plan. And because I went through it willingly, willingly went through all the trials, willingly said, I know there's something better coming. And when you have that attitude, something better is coming. If you say, I know I will never recover from this, if you think that, it'll be. Because your brain sends a signal to the entire body, your entire body. And all these cells that listen to the command center are going to go, we hear and obey. And everything that could go bad, it's going to prove you right. Which one is true? Which one is right? It's the one you believe. And I am going to err on being a resurrection person than being a everything can go wrong person. What's the worst case scenario? And that's what I'm going to believe. But I say, be an equal opportunity going down that road of worst case scenario to going through the best case scenario. What is the best case scenario here? Resurrection. Resurrection. So while you're at whenyouneedafriend.com, check out all the classes. And by the way, I'm on all podcasts. If you want to watch me on or listen to me and you just don't like watching videos, you don't need to see me. I was told when I started the radio show back then that I only had a small window because after a certain age, nobody's going to listen to you. So I've surpassed that quite a bit. So what I'm saying to you is that there's more to everybody's story. So I want to encourage you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com, share this video with everybody that you know. Have this conversation. What's your worst case? What's the worst case? Write it down. Let's find the beauty in it. Let's find the beauty of it. And then check out my Shop Now bag. In my Shop Now bag, you will find so many different Lilly approved products. Just click on it. Some of them will give you discounts. Some of them will give you benefits. I think most of them will give you discounts. And I love, these are all Lilly approved, natural, from head to toe. Check it out. Check it out. And then last but not least, you can become an enrolled student in the classroom. I need your help. I need your help because I want all of us to fund the classroom. All of us, not just me. I put the money up front and I'm counting on the money coming in to help pay for everything that it costs to do this. And it is expensive. And so if you can give up your cafe latte one a week, just or maybe one a month and send me that money, the link is below where you can donate. Please give generously. God loves a happy giver, a generous giver. Whatever you can give to the classroom is so greatly appreciated. Your time, your talent, your treasure. Whether it's putting emojis on there, making a comment, telling me, do you understand what I'm talking about? Have you ever felt like I have? Am I the only one that goes down the what could go right road and leans into that? Prays about it? Am I the only one here? Am I alone? Bueller, tell me. Tell me. And for those of you who don't know Ferris Bueller's Day Out, that's from that quote. I'm quoting Bueller. Okay. There is fear that happens when we go through anything. We scramble. Sometimes our brain is like a reptilian brain. We're like running like a little lizard. When your lizard sees you, like, oh, I need to run. But it's that trust in what I'm telling you, the trust in God and God wanting to work things out for the good of all. I'm just giving you two scriptures today, just two. You do whatever you want to do with it because it's not my job to save you. My job is to plant seeds. I never thought of myself as a gardener. And I kind of prided myself in saying that I killed silk plants. But the reality is, if you come to my home now, you will actually see live plants thriving. It happens. And when I would be given a plan, I'd say, oh, this one's going to die in a week. And they would. Why? Because I acted the way I thought. But now, oh my gosh, every time I water my peace lilies, I'm just like caring for my dad. These three peace lilies that were given to me from my dad when my dad passed away, when he ascended, right? They gave me these peace lilies, different people, big peace lilies. And the old lily would have said, oh, they're going to die. Just give me silk flowers. They will last longer. No, 2 years later, they're still thriving. They're still growing strong, giving me bloom. And every time I water it, I think I'm taking care of my dad. I know, I know, but that's how I feel. And when someone I love experiences this, I bring them a peace lily so that they can feel like they're still taking care of their loved one. Those are things that I do that I can't explain. I just do them. I just do them. It's not right or wrong. I just do them. But that role of that fear and trust gets you to that other side of your courage. It just gets you there. And then expect that all things will work out. Not, oh, things will work out. Yeah, that's what Lily says. No, it's not what I say. It's what God says. It's what the Bible says. And even if you don't believe, because, many of us believe that the Bible was rewritten, there were certain things that were not touched, that maybe the people that interpreted it or the kings that wanted to have all the power over the people maybe thought, oh, nobody's going to get that. You know what? It's okay. But it's that fear, going through that fear with trust that gets you to your courage. That's the sweet spot. That's what the resurrection is all about. Letting go of past wounds and embracing new beginnings. Letting go of past wounds and embracing new beginnings. I'm saying it twice because I want you to get it. Maybe I'll say it a third time. What are those past wounds that you need to get past so that you can get to that, to where you're intended to be all along? And is your fear great enough, bigger? Is your fear bigger than your desire to succeed, your desire to be where God is calling you to be? The purpose in your life, that renewal that comes from discovering the purpose in your life and living your purpose. Are you going to let that fear keep you from your purpose and then go through life going, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I want to do. Well, that's why you come to see me or any coach. We help you through that process. And by the way, if you would like to do some coaching, all you have to do is, I think the coaching, all you have to do is go to whenyouneedafriend.com and there's the coaching button and go there or scroll down and there's a coaching button that you can, sometimes we just need a little help to cross over that bridge, to cross over. Because it was a woman. It was a woman who Jesus showed himself to, women who didn't have name or worth or value back then. And it was a woman who told the disciples that there was a resurrection, that he was not there. It was a woman. We women, we have intuition. But guess what? You men have intuition too. So don't buy the story that you don't have intuition. Tap into it. It's a very powerful tool. Apply the message to of the resurrection every day. Every day in your life, anything that happens to you, just know that things could be worse and that you were spared that worst and that you are headed towards the best days. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine the possibilities that you would face if you just believed that you could do this? Believe, trust, and create your purpose. And that is the power of the resurrection. No matter the pain, no matter the past, you have a new opportunity right now, right here, to be a resurrection person. Are you willing to try? Do you need help getting through it? You can email me at lily@whenyouneedafriend.com. We all have this power. It's an amazing power because after the resurrection, that breath was breathed into us so that we too can be resurrection people and we could do great things. Do you believe this? I hope you do. Because if you don't, be curious and research it and get to your truth and your value and your purpose. And please remember, I'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. And happy Easter. Be resurrection.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.